Imagine that you live in a creative society. Healthcare and education are free of charge. You're provided with free housing and you don't have to pay for utilities. All your loans are paid. You don't owe anything to anyone. Every month you get an unconditional basic income of 10,000 US dollars. And where would you spend that money? What would you do with it?
I think it is important actually that you have a active participation in obtaining those, because it is not only a matter of having the resources, it's also a matter of being creatively engaged in producing them. Our vocation, I believe, as human beings precisely lies in that very aspect, right? So if everything were like that, I would probably set up an NGO to work towards changing some of that.
So in creative society, it's basically, there are 8 foundations of creative society, and one of them is self-governance society.
Mm-hmm.
It's about people taking responsibility and doing something to improve our society, and you're an example of that, because you want to create something for people to have their own rights, right, wills. For example, if you would have this possibility for a basic income, and would you like to acquire some new profession, to learn some new skills, or would you do what you're doing right now?
Well, I think the ability to discover things would be important, which could be many things. This could be learning about things, of history, learning about others, cultures, learning about topics of science. Certainly, education is probably the best investment that I would say can be made, and it should be a type of education that should have a notion of service, built into it. So not just for the sake of doing something that, is purely education for the sake of education, so to speak, right? But education also linked to the sense of how can what I receive here, how can this be brought to others, by means of work that I do, by means of creativity that somehow comes out as a product that can be shared or can be used with others. And so
what is your current profession?
So I am currently between jobs. I'm transitioning from product management, heading the responsibility to define what should be done by the engineers of a certain company in a technological area, into strategy consulting. So I will advise companies with similar topics, but basically as a consultant, and that's the line of work I do.
And what are your hobbies?
What are my hobbies? I love philosophy. I love sailing.
I see that.
And arts, architecture, so traveling.
And if you would have more time and money, would you travel more? Would you explore arts more?
I think so. I lived in the United States for 23 years, and I discovered that being passionate about your work can also bring a lot of sense of relief, of peace, and so forth, right? So I would not necessarily try to run away from it. I would try to combine it, but certainly I would probably, if I had additional time, do maybe a little bit longer trips or trips to destinations that normally I wouldn't have the chance to go to.
Sure, it's really important. So the job to do would be something you actually love.
Yeah.
So this is also what is all about, to create conditions for people. And in creative society will be development of technologies. We will have some new professions and skill. We will have robots and artificial intelligence, explore space, some new possibilities, and everyone could implement that potential.
Yeah, that could be good. And of course, it all in the end is only possible if there's humanity at the right level, right? So the type of work that you cannot replace by machines, care for the elderly, care for the sick, doing things that really need a personal communication, teaching, fundamentally. Although you might do a lot of things with the internet, unless you have a teacher, you don't learn.
Personal communication is important.
Mm-hmm.
So the third question is everything that we discussed today. This is creative format of society, and the question is, do you support creative society?
So, I support the goals of giving people the ability to work in a dignified way, earning a living from their work, and having the choice of work they want to do, totally. I would say the conditions to create that should also involve that people actually have to do something for it and not just receive it for free. Yeah. So I think with those conditions, I would say yes.
I would say this is the only conditions. We all need to do something to achieve such society. We all need to unite and to confirm that, yes, we really want to change that. We've been conducting interviews for past years and all over the world. We're asking people, in what type of society would you like to live? And everyone answers, I want to live in safe world. I want to live in mutual respect and law. No one says that they want to live in wars and conflicts. And why we have them? We understand that we are being divided artificially. And when you talk to people like that, everyone wants to live in a peaceful world. And the question is why we don't have it? That's why this platform was conducted by ordinary people just like me and you to unite those people, to unite all whole world, to create those. And we have already millions of people from all over the world supporting creative society. And what we do basically changes passing this information further, so more people will find out. We had forum on April 22nd. It was called Global Crisis, There is a Way Out, and where we were discussing step by step how we can achieve it. We were talking about electoral demand, that there is an electoral platform where every person can open their phone, vote for the laws, vote for politicians, and in our technologies we can already implement that. So every person would be involved in affairs of society. This is what is.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it does require that people have the ability to know about what's going on, and that there is a certain balance of political power, freedom of the press, variety of opinions that really come to the fore. I think there we have a lot to do, more than we like to think, especially in Europe.
This is you said that it is one of the foundations, transparency, that the mass media should be transparent, and all of the financial transactions should be transparent. That all society needs to know where the money goes, and this is what is going to be provided in creative society by the means of artificial intelligence. There is already such a system that can be implemented where everyone would see, and there wouldn't be corruption, and there wouldn't be those politicians would be only the ones who responsible, but they wouldn't have too high salaries, and they wouldn't have power. The power belongs to people. That's what creative society is about.
That's good. Good.